everybody, I'm Millie and I make videos talking about my life as a British woman married to a Chinese man living in Australia. Today I wanted to do a video that a few people have asked me to make and I've thought about making for quite a while, and it is how we deal with cultural differences in our marriage and what cultural differences there are. Obviously, as I've mentioned before, we grew up in two very different places. I grew up in a small town in the northwest of England, and he grew up in a pretty big city in China. So obviously I'm going to talk about how that's affected us as people, how it affects our relationship, and how we deal with any conflicts that may arise. I hope you enjoy this video, and of course, same as always, if you have any questions that I didn't highlight, please be sure to ask me and I will try and answer as much as possible. I always plan my videos a week or two in advance, so when I thought about making this video, I asked my husband if he had any thoughts on the topic, and he came to the same conclusion that I did. There are things in our marriage that are different because of our cultures, but we've had no cultural difference that have caused issues, and I think that's simply because of the way we've dealt with things. I'll use one light-hearted example I remember from a few years ago: shoes inside the house. I come from a family where you will not wear shoes inside the house, but you can wear slippers or be barefoot. On the other hand, my husband comes from a family where you can wear shoes inside the house or you can wear slippers, but you cannot be barefoot. Instead of having any arguments about it, we simply decided the easiest compromise would be you can wear slippers or be barefoot inside the house, but no outside shoes. Instead of trying to force the other person to accept our point of view as the correct one, we found whatever crossover worked best and went with that. However, not all disagreements have been so light-hearted. Early in our relationship, my husband mentioned the expectation that he would look after his parents as they got older. At the start of our relationship, I was pretty opposed to this, because honestly, I just couldn't understand it. It wasn't something that made sense for me as somebody who comes from a completely different culture. However, I had two options. I could either take some time to understand why he held this point of view and acknowledge his upbringing and culture, and see that it didn't harm me or our relationship. Or I could argue and hurt our relationship and potentially damage the relationship with his parents. Obviously, as we've been together almost 6 years now, you can see that I definitely took the side of looking more into where his opinion came from, the culture behind it, and how it impacts his life and our relationship, instead of just disagreeing immediately. Of course, at 22, I am no relationship expert. However, this is what has worked best for our relationship, and I think it is what makes us work better together, instead of letting cultural differences push us apart. If you come into a relationship or disagreement with the mindset of, my culture is the correct one and I'm going to make sure you agree with me, then your relationship is never going to work. Obviously, nothing I'm saying is revolutionary information. Of course, people with two different cultures should just try and find the compromise in the middle instead of arguing and trying to say whose is better. But I think it's sometimes good to just hear from somebody in a relationship where they're from two different countries with completely different cultures that it can work and it can be easy and not cause major arguments or disagreements. Sometimes people will say something to me that's similar to, oh, you're from the UK and he's from China. How is there any compromise between these two completely different cultures? I think it's easy to find the compromise when the person you are with wants things to work. When you want the relationship to last a lifetime and to be filled with joy and happiness and not just be something temporary. When there's something we disagree about, I simply keep an open mind and go into any discussion with gentleness and kindness. I want to spend the rest of my life with this man. Of course, I'm not going to say, no, you're the wrong one here. Anyway, thank you for sticking around to watch this video and listen to my ramblings about culture and relationships. Like I said at the start, if you have any more questions, please drop them in the comments below, and I will see you next week with a brand new video. Goodbye for now.